Block 37 is the vertical stripes block. This is the first block in the Tunisian sampler Afghan where we're using two colors within the block to make up the block. And the color changes occur after the first half of each row is done. So you go to this end, then you turn around, you change colors, you come back, you do the first half of the next row, you change colors, you come back, you do the first half of the third row, you change colors. So you're doing a whole row of one color. It's just you're doing the second half first and then the first half of the next row for the color changing. As far as the pattern itself, it's made up of two stitches, the simple stitch and the twisted simple stitch, which are alternated within each row and by the row itself. So the first row you start with the simple stitch, twisted simple, simple, twisted simple, all the way across. The next row you start with the twisted simple, simple, twisted simple. So to save time, I have gone ahead and I've done a chain of 12 and I've brought up a loop, so now I'm at the end of the first half of the row. I'm going to make a color change, and because I'm doing this as an individual block, I do my chain 1, and then I'm going to yarn over and draw through 2 all the way across. Okay, so now I'm going to start the alternating stitches. My first one is going to be the simple stitch. My next one is going to be the twisted simple stitch. Okay, so I'm at the first half of the second row, and it's time to change back to the first color. And a quick thread here. The second half of the row is the same throughout, where you yarn over and draw through 2 till you're down to 1 loop. Okay, now the last row I started with the simple stitch. This time I'm going to start with the twisted simple stitch. Having a good time doing this through the camera. All right. simple, twisted simple. Okay, so I think you get the idea. So there's a couple of things I want to point out here. It's easy to tell when you need to do the simple and the twisted simple. The first stitch in each group of 2 is always going to be the simple stitch. The next stitch, the second one, is always going to be the twisted simple, because you use the twisting to draw that post into the first stitch. And I wanted to, so this is going to be a simple. There's 2 different ways to do the twisted simple stitch. This one, which is the way I normally do it, but this doesn't accomplish what we want it to do. It's actually pushing the post away. You don't want to twist down, you want to twist up when you do this stitch. And they don't really make that clear in the pamphlet. Essentially, as you look at this stitch while it's still on the needle, the short part of the stitch should be closest to your hook, and the long post part should be furthest away from the hook. And if you do that, you'll see them grouped together. So that's just a little technique-y thing there. So that's basically it. As you can see, it makes a nice pattern. These aren't particularly great colors to put together, but I wanted to do something high contrast so that you could, clearly see the vertical lines. I think this would be really pretty if you had a dark color and then maybe just slightly lighter to make it a little more subtle effect than this. But this is the vertical lines block 37 of the Tunisian sampler. Thanks for watching.